So let me get this straight. The farmers of Arkansas are asking the federal government for handouts, for checks, because they are struggling financially because of the tariffs and other policies of Donald Trump. They can't sell their soybeans and other goods into foreign countries like China because of the tariffs. They're now too expensive for them to be able to sell them into China because of the retaliatory tariffs. And they can't afford equipment. They can't afford the high rising prices of equipment because of other tariffs on goods and manufacturing and raw material and everything like that. And they are saying they have never seen it this bad. There was a farmer who's in his 39th season of farming, and he says he has never seen it this bad. He literally said, Donald Trump, you said you love us, but I'm not seeing the fruits of your love. What the fuck? Arkansas farmers, and they're saying, of course, it's affecting everywhere else. We saw Nebraska was having problems, facing bankruptcy. Farmers across this country are facing a huge pinch, and a lot of it has to do with Donald Trump and his policies. Well, you should have thought about that, farmers for Trump, when you went into the voting booth and places like Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska went ruby ass red in 2024 in November. You guys made your bed, you fucked around, and now you're finding out. So yeah, the fruits of Donald Trump's love are rotten pieces of shit. If you didn't know that going in, you know it now. So as your farm continues to struggle and you're looking for a socialist handout, why don't you try pulling yourself up by your bootstraps that you preach to everybody else about and do something about it? Because frankly, the rest of the country doesn't give a damn anymore. You should have thought about that before you sold the rest of us down the river.
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero liberty. We want them to fail. That's what you're saying out there. That's what Americans are saying right now is well, next time you'll vote the right way, or that's what you get for who you voted for. That, to me, I want to say it doesn't sound very American of people, but here lately, that's all we're doing is complaining. The last thing I want is an American business to fail. I don't know how much more we're going to see for the next 3 or 4 years. Last thing I want is an American farmer to go under, because us as Americans didn't want to do anything to support them. I don't care what side of the fence you're sitting on in this. The last thing we need is our land to be gobbled up by our corporate people to lease it out to another country so that they can come in and do what they want on the soil. Think about it, people.
So now suddenly farmers want empathy. But didn't you people say that empathy is woke and empathy is bad? Where was that same empathy when they voted? Did they care about students drowning in debt? No student loan forgiveness, so why should there be farmer bailouts? Did they care about families who needed WIC, food stamps, free school lunches? No. Medicare? No. Pew Pew control to save kids? Definitely not. And I don't see any Republicans running to support the farmers. Shouldn't they be pulling themselves up by the bootstraps and working harder? I mean, that's what the Republicans have been telling everybody else. Do I want farmers to fail? No, of course not. But did they knowingly vote against their own interest? Absolutely. And do I feel bad for them? Not one bit, because they never feel bad when their votes actively harm other people. I'll gladly and have to pay $20 for imported veggies if that's the cost. This was their choice, and maybe, when they feel the sting of their own hate, bigotry, and racism backfiring, they'll finally realize that voting the wrong way hurts everyone, including themselves.
Greetings, my family. Welcome back, and thank you for the support. So it's a tough season for farmers in Arkansas. Once the backbone of American soybean, after years of political loyalty and policies that backfired on them, they are now facing bankruptcy and begging for federal help. And the irony is that the same people who rejected help for others, calling it socialism, they are now depending on it to survive. This is a painful reminder that choices have real-life consequences. They voted against their own interest because they believed that the policies, the tariffs, were going to hurt other people, but they found themselves on the edge. So let's have a look, and kindly hit the subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments, all right?
So the people who say no handouts just lined up for a handout. Now tell me why farmers in Arkansas are standing outside with their hands out again, begging Uncle Sam for money. See, when it's regular people struggling, rent too high, groceries too ridiculous, can't afford health care, the answer is always from these people: stop complaining, stop asking for handouts, and pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Farmers in Arkansas are crying out to the feds for stimulus money like it's open mic night. And look, I get it, because times are hard everywhere. When you plant your crops, raise your cattle, take on the risks of farming, wasn't that a personal business decision? So why is it on me and you to make sure that that decision keeps paying out? Because see, when you and I make bad decisions, government doesn't cut us a check to make it right for us. Now, let's connect the dots here a little bit. These are the same people voting for the same politicians who say government is the problem. Yet as soon as the tractors stop running and their profits dry up, government magically turns into a solution for them. Ain't that funny and ironic? The question is, do we owe farmers any help? Or do they need to practice what they preach? Figure it out. Tighten that belt. Leave taxpayers out of it. Because last I checked, it's really not our problem to fix somebody else's gamble.
Right now, we're in a very dire situation. September is upon us. Harvest is starting in the deep south, and we have 0 bushels of soybeans on the books to be sold to China for this current crop that's about to come out of the field. Historically, over the last 5 years, about a third of soybean sales to China would be booked. China amounts to 25% of our total U.S. soybean crop. So that would be 8 or 9% of the whole U.S. crop would normally be on the books with China right now, and we have 0. That is alarming. The farm economy as a whole is struggling. Inflation has caused our cost of production to rise drastically on every front. Commodity prices, in particular soybeans, are down about 50% from where they were 3 years ago. And our numbers are deeply in the red. And we send this letter to President Trump because we've been talking for months about needing to have sales in place, a deal in place, a phase 2 type agreement that has purchase commitments along with a level playing field on trade with no tariffs. And we haven't had anything happen, unfortunately. And our appeal to President Trump and his administration is make soybeans a priority in any trade negotiations that are taking place. Soybeans are the #1 agriculture export to China. And in the last trade war, it was 71% of the losses that we had as American farmers. And they're critical.
So all during the election, we tried to tell the farmers, but they didn't listen. And now that they're at the FAFO stage, they think we should bail them out. Well, Pumpkin, why don't you just pick yourself up from your bootstraps? It would be communist of you to take my taxpayer dollars. Maybe you should have listened to the women who were telling you this was going to happen and done some fucking research. And although now it's a little too late to do anything about it, I advise you still do a little bit of research so you know what's coming down the pike, because they ain't done with you yet. And this comes from Project 2025, by the way, the thing that is almost 50% complete that he denied having anything to do with. But go to your little Google and type in Acre Trader and J.D. Vance. So take that hand that's out asking for my money and put it back in your pocket. You are getting exactly what you voted for. You did this to you. And as far as I'm concerned, you're getting everything you deserve.
Here we go again. Another fuck around and find out moment. This one, Arkansas farmers. Yep, Arkansas farmers who voted overwhelmingly for President Trump. Well, here's a quote from one of those Arkansas farmers, and I'm going to do it in my best Arkansas accent. Right now, we're in a very dire situation. September is upon us. Harvest is starting in the deep south, and we have 0 bushels of soybeans on the books to be sold to China. Yeah, no shit. You voted for the tariff guy. And now Arkansas farmers want a handout. They want federal assistance. This poor ass red state that votes Republican every freaking year. They want a handout. You damn socialists. I guess you're finding out that racism sure is expansive, huh? Dumbasses.
For decades, we've been told that we can't feed kids free lunch because that's socialism. We've been told that we can't give partial credit towards college scammy loans because that's socialism. We can't have universal health care. Your Nana can't get the cancer treatment that she needs because Medicare for all would be socialism. We can't feed and help the homeless because of socialism. Everything that doesn't benefit you is socialism. We've been hearing this about everything that would be good for society for decades. And the second that you need a helping hand, it's a necessary thing. It's not just, guys, this is actually good for everybody. That's why I need that money. I voted for you. You voted against me. I voted so that you could stay in business and get the help you needed. You voted to hurt people that didn't look like you. And that's why I hope you have the day that you voted for. And I hope you get everything you voted for that we told you was going to happen. This is the America you wanted. You said it's not very American. You voted for this. You voted for this, and now you're getting what you voted for. And I'm sorry that you're not smart enough to have actually looked into what we told you was going to happen. Have the day you voted for.
It's Joe from Georgia. So another state is in the news about collapsing their farming industry, and it's the great state of Arkansas. They held meetings in Arkansas this week with the farmers because of the dire situations that they are in, because folks, they're not being able to sell their products. They have money in the ground, but they can't get any money out because the United States government, which had guaranteed them certain things, were lost in the big beautiful bill. Well, in these meetings, it has been said that if an emergency bailout, which is what the farmers are asking for, folks, they're asking for a bailout in Arkansas, that 1/3 of them will file bankruptcy. Hundreds of millions of dollars going into bankruptcy. So you're going to have these people who generational wealth will be totally wiped off the map in the state of Arkansas. But here we go again, another state that overwhelmingly supported the president in his race. And believe it or not, there are still 70% of those farmers will say they believe in the tariffs that are putting them into bankruptcy. Folks, when those type of things are happening in your life, you've got to ask yourself, would I have thought this way 10 years ago? And I'm going to say pretty easy, the answer is no. You're not going to worship the thing that's bankrupting you.
So for those of y'all who've been keeping up with recent events as it relates to the farmers, right? We talked about Nebraska, and then we talked about Iowa, and all of these farmers, are losing their minds because they're losing their farms, and, they're scared. Well, let me tell y'all what I heard today. So the lobbyist groups for the farmers are proposing another bailout of $16 billion. The last time Syphilitic Sid did this in his first administration, they received a whopping $24 billion in bailouts. Well, this time around, Syphilitic Sid said he doesn't know if he can do that. He's not sure that that's something that they can accommodate. Look, I love the farmers. The farmers are wonderful. They farm, right? They farm. But, we're trying to cut fraud and waste and a lot of unnecessary spending. So now these people and their lobbyists are trying to get bailouts. But what I want to understand is, what happened to you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps? What happened to we voted for him because he's a great businessman? What happened to we're going to put our trust in him because he's going to help us? Help y'all do what exactly? Lose your farms? Yes, that part. Because you know who invests in these companies that buy up bankrupted farms? Your vice president. So, to all you farmers that voted for this, thinking it was going to be like the last time and he was going to give y'all a bailout and y'all would get those subsidies to support yourselves and your farms and your families. It's not coming. Not this time around. It's not coming. You can just forget it. So, I wish you well. I hope it works out for you. Maybe, somebody can whisper in his ear and change his mind. You might want to reach out to Ivanka because she's his favorite and he listens to her, I guess. But they're not really speaking, ever since the insurrection. But I don't know. This is just word on the street. It's just gossip, but you didn't hear it from me. But, good luck.
It looks like farmers are going to get the bailout that they've been asking for. According to Brooke Rollins, the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, her and the USDA are working with Congress to make sure the next budget bills that Congress passes includes funding for bailouts to farmers. Now, here's the thing. Farmers are getting what they voted for. Overwhelmingly, the vast majority of farmers voted for the policies that are now negatively affecting them and costing a large majority of small farms to have to file for bankruptcy and potentially lose their land. And these bailouts are not going to go to these small farms. They didn't under Donald Trump's first administration. The vast majority of the bailouts went to large corporate mega farms, and they will again this time, because that's how the bailout system works. Just like everything else in corporate America, bailouts go to the corporations. Anybody that runs a small business or a small farm is left on the sidelines. Farmers are going to get what they voted for in this bailout, but only the corporate farms.
When China stopped buying US soybeans, it was a devastating blow because China bought 25% of American soybeans. So when they stopped buying them, the American farmers found themselves with tons of silos of soybeans that they don't have anywhere to sell. China, they went ahead to buy from Argentina to Brazil, leaving American farmers with no markets, And it didn't just hit the big farms only. It also hit the small family-owned ones. And many Americans tried to warn the farmers, economists, trade experts, even neighbors, that these tariffs would backfire on them. But they didn't listen, Those voices, they were dismissed as political noise. For years, politicians told them that socialism was not good, They told them that struggling students who were asking for loan relief, that they were lazy, that single mothers who depended on food stamps, they were mooching the system. And now these hardworking farmers, that they believe that they will never need that help, they are the ones that are standing out to ask for handouts. They are realizing how quickly life can turn. Maybe what's happening isn't just a farm crisis. It is a wake-up call about empathy, But this is what happens when politics become us versus them instead of all of us together. Rural America thought it was patriotic, cheering for tough trade wars and policies because they thought that would hurt other people, And this shows how racism is very expensive, and racism, it doesn't help. The sad reality is that inflation has made things even worse, The cost of seeds, fertilizer, fuel, everything has skyrocketed. It costs even more to produce. This is why some farmers are selling equipment just to pay debts, Others are losing land that has been in their families for generations. This isn't just an economic problem, it's an emotional one. Imagine watching your entire legacy disappear because of politics. So yes, farmers in Arkansas, they are hurrying, they are angry, and they are scared, and now they are realizing that a blind loyalty doesn't protect them from bad leadership because you can't eat politics, you can't plant it, you can't harvest it, At the end of the day, what matters is compassion, smart policy, and unity. Because when the dust settles, we are all in the same field. But some are realizing it too late, But it's never too late to learn. It's never too late to start worrying for the future instead of the past. And it's time to understand that helping others doesn't make you weak. It makes us human. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.